So, good evening, my dear students. This is the fourth lecture of our course, Mechanics of Solids. And in the last class, we discussed about different types of stress, and we defined stress, and we calculated defined the formula for finding the stress. That is, it is nothing but the average value of stress is equal to the internal resistance force per area. So here in this class, we are going to define stress in another form. Okay, that is called stress at a point. So this stress at a point is very important in mechanics of solids because there are some problems when calculating average value of stress. Already I explained the main problem of calculating average value of stress. So for example, when we calculate the stress for this bar, a force F is acting, a force F is acting on this, and this is the cross-section area. Then the average value of stress is equal to force by area. Okay, so we already defined this average value of stress. And this average value calculation is okay for a body with the uniform cross-section area because the internal force is distributed uniformly across the cross-section. Okay, the internal force is distributed uniformly. Internal force will be developed across any cross-section of this bar, but in this bar, we know this is a uniform cross-section bar. So the internal stress developed also will be uniformly distributed across the cross-section of this bar. Okay, so in this case, we can use or we can calculate this average value of stress because we can take the average value of the internal force. From that, we can calculate the average value of stress. But for a complex body like this, and different types of external forces are acting on this complex body, we cannot calculate this average value of stress because we can see every cross section, we can see there's a change in cross section area. Okay, so everywhere the internal force or the stress value will change. Okay, so we are using another definition for stress that is called stress at a point. That is called stress at a point. Okay, so here instead of calculating this average value of stress, we calculate the stress at a particular point on the body. Stress at a particular point on the body. Okay, so by defining or by using this stress at a particular point, we can find the stress at any point on the body. Okay, we can define stress at any point on the body. Okay, and here in this case, if a bar subjected to an external force dou F, a very small amount of force dou F, and if I take a point P, here on this, and its area of this point is very small, we can take that area as dou A. That is the area of that point. Then we already derived the equation for the stress. Stress is equal to force by area. So here the force is dou F. The area is of this point is equal to dou A. And here we apply the limit because when the area tends to 0, we got this point. Okay, when this dou A area tends to 0, we got this point. So we apply the limit for this equation, that is delta dou A.
Paper study.
Okay, dou A tends to 0. So limit dou F by dou A, the dou A tends to 0. So that is the stress at a point P. Okay, so we calculate the stress at a point P. And here, when we calculate this stress at a point P, we use this cross-section area. We use this cross-section area for this point P. Okay, so here everywhere in this line, everywhere the stress will be forced by area. Okay, and here the stress is equal to F by A. And along this point, I can draw another cross section, or I can cut this bar with a different cross section. Okay, so this is the first half and this is the second half. Then this will be the cross section area. This will be the cross section area. Okay, so initially this was the cross section area that passing through the point A, sorry, point P. So where the stress is equal to force by A1, then for example, this cross section area is equal to A1. And if I take another cross section for cutting this bar into two halves, and its cross section area is equal to, its cross section is equal to A2, then it is equal to F by A2, because the cross section area is A2. And I can use another cross section area to cut this bar. The third cross section area will be A3. So the stress will be forced by A3. So how many times I can cut this cross section area passing through that point P? Infinite times, right? I can cut this bar into infinite number of times with the planes passing through that point P. Infinite number of times I can cut. Then in this point P, there are infinite number of stress values. Infinite number of stress values. Force by area A1, force by A2, force by A3, force by A4. So by cutting with the different planes passing through that point P, I got infinite number of, I have infinite number of planes for cutting through P point. From there, I got infinite number of stress values, because when I cut with the different planes, the cross section area across the each planes are different. Then force by area term will be, denominator term will be different. So I got infinite number of stress values. So for a particular point, in a particular point, there are infinite number of stress values. Okay, so the stress will be different. So hence the stresses will change with respect to the plane across which it is calculated. Okay, so the stress at a particular point is changed with respect to the plane. So if I use this plane, for example, this is point P. If I use this plane to cut this body, then the force by the area of that plane cross section area. If I use this cross section area or this plane to cut this body, then force by the cross section area of this plane. So infinite number of times we can calculate stress at this point P. So we know the stress is a vector quantity, because stress is a force by area. Force is a vector. It has magnitude and direction. So stress also will be a vector quantity. Okay. So for the complete description of stress, it is necessary to mention the plane which the stress is acting, in addition to this magnitude and direction of stress. Because magnitude is dependent upon the force and area, and the direction is dependent upon the direction of force, and another quantity also used to define the value of stress. That is nothing but the plane on which the stress is acting. Because when we change the plane, the stress value is changing. Okay, so there is a dependency of the plane which we take while calculating the stress value. Okay, so the stress value depends upon the force, the magnitude of force and area, the direction of force, as well as the plane on which the stress is acting. The plane on which the stress is acting. So the stress, we can say, therefore, is different from the vector quantity, and it is a tensor quantity. A stress is a tensor quantity. We have scalar, and then vector, and third one is tensor quantity. Okay, so stress at a particular point is a tensor quantity. What is the reason for this tensor quantity? A stress has a particular magnitude, it has a direction, and the stress at a particular point depend on the plane on which it is acting. So the stress value vary with respect to the plane which we are taking to calculate the stress. If we take this plane, then there will be a particular value of stress. If you take this plane, the stress value will be different. If you take this plane, the stress value will be different. So across any point, we can draw infinite number of planes. Thereby, there are infinite number of stress value can be defined at a particular point. Infinite number of stress values. Okay, that is why we call this as a tensor quantity. Here there is a while defining the stress at a point, we use the plane which where the stress is acting. That is also an important factor while calculating the stress at a point. That is why the stress is a tensor quantity. Okay, so we can define the stress at a point. The state of stress at a point is defined as the, it's very important, the state of stress at a point is defined as the totality of all stress vectors. Again, totality of all stress vectors acting on every plane, every possible plane passing through that point. Okay. Totality of all stress vectors acting on every possible plane passing through that point. That is the stress at a point. So what is the meaning of this definition? If you take stress at this point, you can see this, the stress at this point. If you want to calculate the stress at this point. Okay, so in this point, I can draw the infinite number of planes passing through that point. And each plane, the stress values are different. Okay, then there will be infinite number of stress values at this point P. And the stress at that point P is the totality of all the stress values. That is the totality of all stress vectors acting on every possible plane. So there are infinite number of planes. So the totality of all stress vectors acting on every possible plane passing through that point. That is a stress at a point. Okay, and this is a tensor quantity. Any doubt? Okay, I can move to next portion. Okay, so the next portion is, so we already defined the stress at a particular point. Next, we are going to use this stress at a point to calculate the stress at a particular plane. Okay, so here I am going to draw a body which is in a XYZ or XYZ rectangular coordination system. So this is Y, X, and this is Z. And I am considering a body here, and in this body some external forces are acting. Okay, so this body is occupied in a XYZ Cartesian coordinate system, and in this body, some external forces are acting. Both the body force and surface forces are acting on this body. Okay, and this body is in equilibrium under the action of external forces and internal forces develop across the different cross sections of this body. And here I am using a, a plane 1 1, a plane or ABCD, a plane ABCD to cut the plane into two half. Okay, and I'm cutting with this plane through this point P. Here I'm specifying a point P inside this body, and using this plane ABCD, I cut this body into two half, which is passing through this point P. Okay, and here I am taking the bottom portion. So this is the bottom portion of this body, and this F3 is acting. Okay, and here this is the point P. Point P. And around the point P, we consider a very small area that is equal to delta A. Delta is the area, very small area around the point P. Okay, so here the whole part in equilibrium under the influence of external forces and the internal developed force. And if the whole part's in equilibrium, then the bottom half or this half of this body also should be in equilibrium. Okay, so in this lower part, this is the delta A. It's a very small area which is surrounding the point P. We consider point P, and this plane is actually cut through this point P. So the action of this upper portion, on this small area delta A at the point P can be considered as delta F. Okay, so this is delta F. And what is delta F? The action of the upper portion on this small area delta F. So there will be some action and reaction between these two half, and the action of the upper half on this small area of the bottom half can be represented as a force delta F. Okay, and to find the stress at this point P, we can take the limit. The stress at point P is equal to the stress at point P is equal to limit delta A tends to 0, because we take the stress at point P, so we have to apply the limit for this area delta A tends to 0, delta F by delta A. Delta F by delta A. Okay, that's
Sir, ഈ ഡെൽറ്റ എഫ് ക്രോസ് സെക്ഷൻ ആയിട്ട് പെർപെൻഡിക്കുലർ ആണോ?
No, that is a resultant force. The action of the upper part on this small area delta A is delta F, and it may be in any direction. Okay.
Okay.
We are not considering it is not normal to that area. It may be in any direction. Okay. So the action of the upper part on this small area of this bottom part is represented with this force delta F. So the delta F by delta A, limited delta A tends to 0, is the stress at point P. And if for this point P, we can draw like the previous I am explaining, we can draw infinite number of plane through this point P. Okay, so I can draw infinite number of planes through this point P. Then the resultant stress will be infinite number of stress vectors also, because I already said this stress values depend upon the plane which we are considering. So if we can draw infinite number of planes through the point P, then there will be infinite number of stress vectors. Okay, infinite number of stress vectors. And each stress vector is characterized by the corresponding plane on which it is acting. On which it is acting. For example, if you take this plane, corresponding stress value will be depend upon this plane. So each stress vector is characterized by the corresponding plane on which it is acting. So each stress vectors will be different because it is dependent upon the plane on which it is acting. Okay, so here we have infinite number of planes, and each stress vector is characterized by the corresponding plane on which it is acting. So the stress at a particular point depends not only on the location of the point, but also the plane passing through that point. Okay, so the stress at a particular point not only depend upon the position of the point, okay, but also the plane on which it is acting. Okay. Next, we are going to calculate the stress value at a particular point. So here we have infinite number of stress values at a particular point. So we need to calculate, and this infinite number, out of this infinite number of stress value, there will be a stress value which will be maximum. And we have to design that body based on that maximum stress value. Then from this infinite number of stress value, we should calculate a stress values which is maximum. Okay, so how can we calculate the stress values? For that, when the stress vector acting on three mutually perpendicular planes passing through that points are known. When the stress vectors acting on three mutually perpendicular planes passing through that point are known, we can determine the stress vector acting on any other plane passing through that point. Okay, so if you take a particular point, you have infinite number of stress values, and out of this infinite number of stress values, there will be a maximum stress value, and our design of the body is based on that maximum value of stress value. But we don't know which one is the maximum value stress value, or we don't know the plane out of this infinite number of planes, in what plane this maximum stress value is acting. We don't know anything. To calculate this maximum value stress values, or the plane on which this maximum value stress is acting, we can take three mutually perpendicular planes. We can call this an X plane, Y plane, and Z plane. And out of this infinite number of planes, we take three mutually perpendicular planes. And if we know the stress values in these three mutually perpendicular planes, then we can find the stress values in any plane, any infinite number of planes passing through that point. Okay, understood? So Next we are going to, so we got an idea how can we calculate the stress at any plane by calculating the stress at a three mutually perpendicular plane. So next we are going to calculate the stress in these three mutually perpendicular planes. So we have some derivations to calculate the stress in these three mutually perpendicular planes. We can call these three mutually perpendicular planes as x plane, y plane, x, y and z plane. So next we are going to calculate these stress values in these three mutually perpendicular planes. So you should uh, understand we are calculating the stress values in these three mutually perpendicular planes, because when we calculate the stress in these three x, y, z planes, then we can calculate the stress in any plane. Out of this infinite number of planes, we can calculate the stress in any plane which is passing through that point P. So from that we can calculate the maximum value of stress and the corresponding plane also. Okay, so next we are going to calculate the stress value. Okay, on these three mutually perpendicular plane. For that, I'm going to consider similar to the previous body. I'm going to consider a body which is again in this x, y, z Cartesian coordinate system. X, Y, Z. Okay, a body in x, y, z Cartesian coordinate system. So this is a one half of the, we divide the body into two half using a plane passing through the point P, passing through the point P. Okay. And this plane is cut perpendicular to this x-axis, perpendicular to the x-axis. And this plane is called x-plane. And this plane is called, the plane which is used to cut this half is called x-plane, because this plane used for cutting this body into two half is normal to this x-axis. We can see the x-axis is normal to this plane, the vertical plane. Okay, that is why this plane is called x-plane. So we cut the body into two half using x-plane, and the plane is actually passing through that point P. And the action of this upper part of the body on this point P can be a resultant stress vector. We can use sigma R for designating this stress vector, the resultant stress acting on the point P. Because of the action of the other half, a particular amount of force is acting on the point P, and correspondingly a resultant stress of sigma R is acting on point P. Okay, a resultant stress. And this resultant stress can be split into or resolved into three components, which is parallel to x, y, and z axis. Okay, this resultant stress can be resolved into three components, which is parallel to x axis, y axis, and z axis. Okay.
Camera 3. So 3 camera. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so the resultant stress is resolved into three components. One is parallel to x-axis, next one is parallel to y-axis, the third one is parallel to z-axis. Okay, and the resolved component which is parallel to x-axis actually normal to this cross section, because here we use X plane to cut this cross section. Actually, this plane is perpendicular to this paper, perpendicular to this paper. So this component of stress will be normal to this cross section. Okay. So that normal stress, how we represent a normal stress using a letter sigma. Sigma. And here we use subscript sigma xx. I will explain what is xx later. And next component is along the, which is parallel to y direction, but we can see this y component is along the cross section, or this y component of stress is tangential to this cross section. So we can say the component of stress which is tangential or parallel to the cross section is a shear stress. So we can give tau value here, tau. And the subscript here we use it is xy, tau xy. And the third component is which is parallel to z-axis, third component. And this third component also parallel or tangential to this cross section. So this is also a shear stress, tau xz. Again, tau xz.
പേപ്പർ ഇത്തിരി താഴോട്ട് വലിക്കാമോ?
Sir, paper ഒന്ന് adjust ചെയ്യൂ.
Okay, fine. Tau xz. So these are the three components of stress. Here we resolve this sigma r into three components. Out of these three components, one component, that is sigma, which is normal to this cross section, and the remaining two components are tangential to the cross section. So normal, particular stress which is normal to the cross section is normal stress, and any type of any stress which is tangential or parallel to the cross section is shear stress, and this is tau. And here we use a subscript xy and xz. The x term is used. The x term in xy is what plane is used to cut this cross section. That represents this x value. Here we use x plane to cut this cross section using a plane which is perpendicular to x-axis, like this, like my hand. A plane which is perpendicular to x-axis is used to cut this cross section. So this plane is called x plane. Similarly, if we use a plane which is perpendicular to y-axis, like this, then corresponding plane will be y plane. And if you use any plane which is perpendicular to z-axis, then corresponding plane is called z plane. And here we use x plane to cut this cross section. That is why in sigma xx, tau xy, tau xz. So the first subscript is used to designate the plane which is used to cut this cross section. And the second subscript is used to represent the direction of the stress. Direction of stress. Here sigma xy. So what is the direction of this? Tau xy. What is the direction of tau? The direction of tau is in y direction. Okay, which is in y direction. So this is y. Y is used to represent the direction of stress acting. And here we can say this is the direction of the direction in the z direction. So tau xz. But here the normal stress, the direction is again in x direction, which is in x direction, and the here we use x plane, so both will be x. Okay, so we resolve this resultant stress into three components: one normal stress and two tangential or shear stress. Okay, any doubt? Okay, so here I am just representing that plane. This is the plane, the cross section, and here in this plane, sigma x, this is sigma x, this is tau xy, and this is tau xz, and this is an x plane which is used to cut this body. Okay. Similarly, next I am going to cut this body using y plane. Using y plane. How can I cut this body using y plane? So this is using y plane. I cut this body. Okay. So again, the resultant stress is sigma r. The resultant stress sigma r is acting, and this is the y plane. So the normal stress is acting. This is sigma yy, because this is y plane, and the directional normal stress in y direction. So sigma yy, and one resolved into three components. So first component sigma yy. Second component is in the direction of x, that will be tangential to this cross section. So this will be tau y x. Y is the y plane, representing y plane. X is the direction of the stress. And third one is the in the direction of z, that is tau y z. Tau y z. So I can represent this y plane. This is the y plane. So sigma yy, then tau yz, then tau yx. This is y plane. Okay. Again, I can cut this body using a z plane, a plane which is perpendicular to z axis. I can cut this body through this point P using a z plane. Again, with this z plane, there will be a three components in the z plane. So this is my z plane. I am not cutting this body using z plane. So this will be the result, z plane. So in this z plane, in the z direction, the normal stress is acting in the z direction, that is sigma zz. In the y direction, a tangential stress will be acting, that is tau zy. And in this direction, again a tangential stress of tau zx is developed. The components, resolved components. So here, this is the x plane. I already said we can calculate the stress values at any plane passing through the point B if we know the stress values of the three mutually perpendicular planes passing through that point P. If we know the stress values of three mutually perpendicular planes passing through that point P, then we can calculate the stress values on any plane passing through that point P. For that, actually, we are using this technique. So here, we develop an x plane passing through that point P, y plane passing through that point P, z plane passing through that point P. These three are three mutually perpendicular planes because x, y, z planes are mutually perpendicular planes, and the stress values acting on these x planes, there are three stress values are acting on x plane, three stress values are acting on y plane, three stress values are acting on z plane. So this is my z plane, this is x plane, this is y plane. Any doubt? So total, how many components of stress for these three mutually perpendicular plane? How many components of stress?
9.
Total 9 components of stress. Out of this 9 component stress, how many normal stress?
3.
3 normal stress, and remaining 6 stresses are shear stress. Okay, so here through the point P, we consider 3 mutually perpendicular planes X, Y, Z. In X plane, Y plane, and Z plane, we have total 3 into 3, 6 component of stress. Okay, then again I am going to define the stress at a point. If I know, so the stress at a point is the totality of all stress vectors passing through that point P. And if we know the stress values or the stress components of 3 mutually perpendicular planes, then we can calculate the stress values of any plane passing through that point P. That is why we calculate this 9 component of stress, which is the stress components of 3 mutually perpendicular planes. Okay, so next I am going to write these 9 components in matrix form. In a matrix form. Just a second. So I'm going to write this 9 component of stress in matrix form. Okay. So sigma is equal to sigma x, that is a normal stress on a sigma xx, and here we use sigma xx, but simply we can write sigma x, because irrespective of xx value we can use x, and here also instead of sigma yy you can sigma y, sigma zz, here we can use sigma z, because here both are same, then we can use only single letter to represent the normal stress. So here sigma x, instead of sigma xx we use sigma x, and the normal stresses are writing in the diagonal of this matrix, sigma x, sigma y, sigma z.
Sheet 3.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And this is tau xy. This one, tau xy. Tau xy. Then tau xz. This one, tau xz. So the top row contain all the stress components of x plane. And second one is y plane, the y plane, sigma y, which is in the diagonal of this matrix, and this tau yy, sorry, tau yx, tau yx, and tau yz. And this is the second row for y plane, and the third one is z plane. This is the z plane. Here for z plane, the first one is tau zx, second one tau zy. Okay, zy. So this is sigma z. So we write this 9 component of stress in a matrix form. And we can say this is equal to sigma ij, sigma I comma j. Okay. So in a Cartesian coordinate system, we can write the 9 component of stress in a matrix form. And from the definition, if we know this 9 component of stress values, if we know, for example, if for a particular point P, there are infinite number of planes passing through that point P. Corresponding to each plane, there is a stress value, and in this, through this point P, I can draw three planes. The first one is this one, which is perpendicular to x-axis, x plane. The second one is this one, which is perpendicular to y-axis. Again, there are infinite number of planes. Okay, infinite number of planes. In this, first I can draw a plane which is perpendicular to x-axis, that is x plane. Next, I can draw another plane which is perpendicular to y-axis, that is y plane. Then I can draw a third plane which is perpendicular to z-axis, that is z plane. And we calculate the stress values of these three planes, x plane, y plane, and z plane. That is this matrix. This matrix is the stress values of these three planes. And in each plane, there will be a single normal stress and two shear stress. Total, there are 9 stress values. And this matrix is called stress tensor. Stress tensor. Okay, this matrix is called stress tensor. Just a second. So this is the stress tensor at a point. Okay. So next, I can draw these all stress values or these three mutually perpendicular planes by considering a very small rectangular element which surrounding a point P. So next I am going to draw a small rectangular element which is surrounding this point P.
So sheet കുറച്ച് നിൽക്കും ലെഫ്റ്റിലേക്ക്.
Okay. So this is the very small rectangular element around the point P. So here at the center of we have a point P. So this is the point. This point P is this one, and we consider very small rectangular element. Very small. Here in this point, we consider very small rectangle element around this point P. Very small rectangle element, and this is that rectangle element. Okay, and the distance is very small for this rectangle element. Here I am representing these three planes on this rectangular element. Here, what is the name of this plane? If it is represented in a Cartesian coordinate system, that is x. This is z, and this one is y. And this, if it is y, then this is the central axis. And what is the name of this plane? This plane. What is the name of this plane?
Explain.
X-plane. This is the X-plane. And what is the name of this plane?
explain തന്നെയാ.
Also explain. That is also explain. And what about this plane?
Y plane.
Y plane. And this plane,
Y plane.
that is also Y plane. And about this plane and this one, this one is the Z plane and the backside plane, that is the two Z planes. Z plane and this is our Z plane. Okay, so here we use a rectangular element, rectangular parallelepiped around the point B, and actually the distance between the two faces of this element is very small. Okay, actually we can say these planes or the faces of this rectangular element is actually on this point P, because the distance between or distance from the point P to the face is negligibly small. Okay, we can say, maybe we can say this plane is actually passing through that point P. Okay, so here in this we can represent what we studied about the stress components. So in the explain, a sigma x is acting, tau xy and tau xz. Okay, in this explain. And similarly in this explain, see here we have a negative x dash. Though this is the positive x dash, here we have negative x dash. So in this explain, actually the normal stress is acting in the negative x direction, that is also sigma x, but is opposite in direction of the sigma x. And here also tau xy here is acting in the upward direction, but here it is acting in the downward direction, tau xy. And here tau xz is acting in the positive z direction, but here it is acting in the reverse negative z direction, that is tau xz. Okay, and similarly in y plane we have normal stress, that is sigma y, and the sigma y plane, this is the y plane, and in the z direction tangential stress or shear stress is tau yz, in the x direction tau yx. The negative y plane, again the normal stress is sigma y in the opposite direction. Then in this direction, the negative x direction, we have a tangential stress, that is tau yx, opposite to that of this stress. And another one is tau yz, opposite to that of this direction. This is in positive z direction, this is in negative z direction. And for this plane, for this the front z plane, we have the, what about z plane? This is the z plane. In the z plane, we have a stress sigma z in the z direction, then sigma tau zy and tau zx, front z plane. In back, yes.
സാർ പള്ളി പോണാറ് സമയായി.
എവിടെ?
പള്ളിയില്.
Okay, ഒന്ന് പോക്കോ. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
In the back z plane, we have sigma z in the reverse negative z direction, then tau z y, then tau z x. So all the stress components on this rectangular element is represented. Okay, so here the sigma x, sigma y, sigma z are normal stress. Tau xy, tau yz, tau xz, everything is a shear stress. And the first subscript of this shear stress is representing the plane on which is used to cut this body, and the second subscript is used to represent the direction of the stress axis. Okay, so this is the stress in a rectangular component, rectangular stress components. Okay, so one more topic. Okay, study this much topic. I'm stopping here. So study all these topics very clearly and read textbooks. It's very important because the entire first module is based on today's lecture. So you have to study in detail about this topic, different type of stresses, stress components acting, and stress components and the stress tensors, the component of stresses on different three mutually perpendicular planes, and the stress at a particular point. Okay, so in the next class, you should study all these components. Okay, all 9 components and how they acting on the 3 mutually perpendicular directions, and what is the importance of studying the stress components on these 3 mutually perpendicular directions, what is stress tensor, and what is stress at a particular point, and what is the importance of studying stress at a particular point. So all these things are very important for mechanics of solids. Okay, so watch this video again and read textbooks, and in the next class we will study further in this topic. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Sir, notes.
Thank you.